The Virtual World Society. Join us in building better realities together.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm Natalie. I am an operations. I don't know. I will check. Okay. Sorry. Welcome to the Virtual World Society Fireside Chat with Tom Furness here. And today our featured guests are Dr. Angelina Dayton and Miss Diane Mcclellan. Did I say that right?
Correct. Thank you.
Great. So we are going to be talking about the price of inequality, how not including women and girls as leaders impact innovation and humanity. This is going to be a great fireside chat today. We're going to give a few minutes. There's Tom. I was going to say we're going to wait just a few minutes, let Tom get in. But so we will be opening this up to a question Q&A portion a little later on. So if you have any questions, we will be addressing those later. Right now, I do believe I'm going to mute all. I am getting some feedback from someone, so let me go ahead and just mute everyone and we'll start. Tom, whenever you're ready, go ahead and take it away.
Just a small question, little question.
Yes.
How big is the lecture? How long is the lecture?
The event is for 1 hour. It's 1 hour long, so it should be done about 2 p.m. Pacific time.
And you're free to leave whenever you want as well, but I think the conversation is going to be stellar.
Tom, don't forget to unmute yourself, love. I think you're muted because I can't hear you.
Okay. Everyone hear me
There
now?
we go.
Okay. Thank you, Natalie. Production. Natalie is our operations at the Virtual World Society. And we all thank the educators in VR who have helped us all along and continue. We're partners in this whole enterprise of helping to lift humanity. Well, today is, I've been looking forward to this for a while. We have two amazing people who are prepared to talk to us about the inequality. Now, to my immediate right is Angelina Dayton. Angelina is an anthropologist, and she has also been a teacher, and she is known as the VR lady, and she'll probably explain that a little bit. And she also is the chief scientist of the Virtual World Society. So we'll have some more. You should say a little more about herself in a few minutes. And then to her right is Diane Mcclellan. Diane is the founder of the Girls STEAM Institute and has been engaged pretty much all of her career. Out that we're the same age, Diane and I. And she's been involved pretty much her whole career as a businesswoman, and especially, though, helping women start businesses and get them funded pretty much throughout your whole career. So with that, we're going to ask for just a little longer introduction by each of you and how you got into the chair that you're in right now. And then we'll get to the subject. How's that sound? So let's start with you, Diane, and tell us about yourself.
Well, actually, my journey started when I was about the age of some of our steamers, our girls that come to our program at 14 years old. My twin sister and I were playing competitive tennis, and we were as a high school freshman, we wanted to have interscholastic tennis team so we could compete like the boys. But we ran into a challenge where the administrator said, well, you have intramurals, so you can go ahead and have intramural sports. And we said, no, we want to have interscholastic teams like the girls. And this was in 1957. I'm really dating myself. 15 years before Title IX, which we're celebrating 50 years of. And so we were able to recruit 60 girls, as that was what we were told to do in order to suggest that there was interest among the girls to play tennis. So we achieved that, and then we had 6 girls apply for the team out of the 60, and my twin sister and I were 2 of the 6. And so the following year, there were 16 boys teams at David Douglas High School, which is in East Multnomah County in Portland. And the girls tennis team was the first team to win the first state championship for the school. So what we've told the girls and what we tell youth is at 14, you never know by standing up for something that it might have an overall impact for years to come. Because we were honored in 2017 by the school administrators saying that we actually started women's sports in East Multnomah County. And so, you know, we tell the girls if they don't stand for something, they fall for anything. And so that's been a part of my life, is realizing that there are a lot of inequalities for many years. And we are seeing some progress, but not enough. And so the topic of the price of inequality in the research I've been doing, Angelina and Tom, is showing that this inequality is costing humanity for all around the world, because it's like having a world-class soccer team being out on the field on game day, and if you don't have all the team members there, you're never going to really truly win. And that's what I think is happening. We don't have women and minorities represented in leadership roles throughout the world, and that is why we are struggling with the things we have today, because we're not utilizing the innovation and the ideation and the empathy and collaborative skills that women have. And we want to change that now.
We'll get right there, actually. No, but that's not. Okay, Angelina.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Angelina Dayton, and I'm known as the VR lady. That was a name given to me by students when I would go out into rural communities with my big bag full of VR headsets and teach them VR for the first time. They'd normally run up to the fence and yell, "The VR lady's here, the VR lady's here." So that kind of became the name that they gave me. And I'm glad that I was asked to come and contribute to this conversation today. I really believe that all of us have an irreplaceable contribution to the world, and especially in the world that we live in, I work in within technology. I feel like women especially have an irreplaceable contribution to the conversation, and we miss out on a lot when we do not make that available to them, and we don't listen when they're participating. And so I was really eager to be a part of this conversation about all the positive change that can happen when we listen to all the voices that are at the table and ensure that everybody is represented at the table. I always say, they say, "What can you do to support women?" When people ask me that, I say, "Get out of our way." And pass us the mic, see what we can do. And so I'm very honored to be sitting here today with Diane, as such a leader in the field of engaging women in their potential. I like to always remind myself that my voice is an irreplaceable contribution. And so I try to speak up in spaces because I feel like my perspective is needed in order to give a holistic view and perspective within technology. And my goal is to make sure that all the other women also feel the same way, and that we can be active participants and movers and shakers in this industry. So thank you for having me here, Tom, Diane.
I feel honored.
Sorry.
Tom, I'm sorry. I just want to interject. I feel so honored to be here with both of you who have just changing the landscape and responsible for changing the landscape in technology and helping to bring people along, even me at my age at 78, when I decided this is really an important move for Girls Team Institute to look at, is merging women, girls, and technology, particularly VR technology, together to create that collaboration. So I want to thank you so much for all the leadership you've shown for all these years. Be here with both of you.
Oh, pleasure. Thank you so much. So let's address this whole issue of the price. I think we're in agreement that there is a problem, and we'll talk about that. And I'm sure you will talk about this inequality problem, but the price is important, because in this capitalistic society, we don't realize the bottom line. These are the facts. This is not just a feeling. These are facts. The bottom line is definitely affected by inequality. Do you want to comment about that a little more, Diane?
I'd love to. Again, as you mentioned, I've spent the last 35 years of my life helping women-owned business get access to capital and access to markets. And I don't know if all of you are aware that there's over 11,600,000 women-owned businesses in the country that represent over $1.7 trillion. And that's a force to be reckoned with. And the other thing that large corporations don't understand as far as the value of utilizing women-owned businesses as far as their supply chain and women as far as leadership roles in their companies is that women love loyalty and they embrace it, and they are the largest consumer. They purchase over 85% of all products and services. So it makes sense. It makes economic sense for companies and for all of society to realize the important stake that women have in our economy. But if we're not utilizing them, then we are not taking advantage of all the innovation and ideation. And so what I've noticed, and when the organization that I co-founded preceding the Girls STEAM Institute was the Astor Women's Business Alliance, and we were responsible for certifying women-owned businesses and helping them get contracts with Fortune 500 companies. And it was during that time I used to meet with a lot of the different supplier diversity people who said they were really concerned about what was going to happen with their supply chain if the baby boomer women would leave the marketplace and sell their companies to possible majority-owned companies. So they'd lose that diverse spend that they work so hard to achieve. So I approached our Girls STEAM Institute board, or Astor Women's Business Alliance board, and said, we need to look at doing something. Why don't we create a pipeline and get young girls started thinking about entrepreneurship at an earlier age, and then we can build that
Mm.
pipeline and have them potentially replace the women in the supply chain. When the current women-owned businesses want to sell their companies, they could sell it to the young women entrepreneurs that are coming up behind them. So that market would actually increase and expand, and there would be again that pipeline of succession. And I really think that's what we should be doing. And I think that's one of the answers, is to utilize women and girls and create the opportunities and the pathway so that if they're interested in STEAM, that there's a way for the women to look down at becoming an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur, and that they can stay along those channels and receive the mentorship and support from other subject matter experts and other women-owned businesses that want to help them.
Well, do you want to add to that, Angelina?
I think when we talk about what the price really is for inequality, I think I shared this with Tom and Diane a little bit earlier, but I'll share it with you. When we look at science tech, you all also, when we look at science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, when we have girls in these fields, keeping them in the major, interested in the topic, going on to work within the field, retaining them within the field, having them move up into management positions, having them have a company, having them pass on their company to other women. We find an attrition, and what's interesting to me is that when men are in science, technology, engineering, or math majors, and they have a subpar performance in their coursework, they don't quit. They stay in those majors, and if they feel like they're not performing in their jobs, they don't quit. They stay. And what we find is that women, if they do an average performance, if they're not excelling in those majors, they feel like they don't have a place, and they drop out, and they don't continue to pursue it. They hold themselves to such a high standard in STEM that if they're not getting A's, if they're not getting the highest A in the class, or if maybe they're just performing, at average, they think maybe this isn't the place for me. And so I would say the price of inequality is average men running everything instead of exceptional women. because because they're the ones that end up finishing the majors and taking the jobs. And we could have, if we really extend out the warmth and the comfort and the and really help women feel like they have a place in these majors and in these jobs, and we could have these exceptional women who have exceptional skills, but sometimes have imposter syndrome. And so my goal is to support as many women as possible when they get to that moment where they feel like, maybe I'm not good enough, to say, yes, you are way better than this average person sitting over, that just won't give up and will graduate with all C's and then go on to have the job that you should have. So please stay in this major. Please go on and take those jobs. Because it's too great of a price we're going to pay if you don't. And so that's my little funny anecdote as to what I see the price of inequality being. So for any ladies in the audience or any young ladies in the audience that think I'm not good enough, don't think that. We tend to hold ourselves to a much higher standard than men do, and we have an irreplaceable, like I said, an irreplaceable contribution to the STEM fields. So those are my thoughts, Tom.
Wow. Well, as it turns out, you would think that over where we are in 2022, that we would be solving this problem. If you look at this, it's actually going in the opposite direction.
Right.
The student, for example, the stats that you've shown me, Diane, in 2017, we're a lot better than we are right now in terms of girls who are in STEM. We'll talk about the A here in a minute, but let's talk about STEM. What's going on there? Why is that?
Well, in talking with some of the girls that have been part of our program, they say that they don't see enough role models, enough women that look like them working for these large tech companies. And so that's kind of a discouraging thing for them. And then the other thing that's been interesting is some of the girls within their high schools and their associations, if the girls talk about wanting to get into STEAM or STEM, their so-called friends will say, well, why would you want to do that? I'm not interested in that. Why do you want to do that? So then they feel like maybe something's wrong with them, or even at home, sometimes because of cultural influences, young men in the families are encouraged to seek these STEAM or STEM roles rather than girls in the family. And so when they do apply, and through the application process, we ask them some of the major challenges that they have faced in their life and how have they solved it, or what kind of results do they get. And oftentimes they'll say, it's convincing my family and my community that it's okay for me to pursue STEAM. And so when they become part of us, because they have outstanding grades and outstanding community service and involved in their school, which is part of the criteria for becoming involved, they say, it's so great to be with my peeps, to be with other like-minded girls. And Tom and Angelina, we talked before about this impact on virtual reality. I really think that's the secret sauce, because we bring girls together. Like we have our competition going on right now. In fact, for parents and girls in the audience that are 13 to 18, please encourage your daughters or your sisters or your cousins or nieces to apply, because most of the girls applying right now, 80% of them have had no experience in VR. And the reason why they chose to apply is they wanted the experience, they were curious about it, they wanted something fun to do this summer, and they wanted to be with other like-minded girls. So this is something that I think is something we need to really concentrate on as society, is emphasizing more of the pathways for young girls to be an environment that is encouraging to them and that tells them that you are enough, like you said, Angelina, that we have a pathway and a plan for you, that if you want to do this, that we create project-based learning and social-emotional learning as tools, so that we are doing more of the listening rather than the talking. And I think that's another way to earn their trust and their confidence, is that we let them know we are here to help them.
Thank you for that. Well, Angelina, do you want to add
I
build
would,
on
I
that?
would, yeah, I would agree with everything that Diane is saying. I recently was in a management training course with a young female engineer as one of the other people in the courses, and we spent some time just talking together. And she said that she had a traumatic brain injury, and when she came back to her PhD program, she sat in her advisor's office, who was male, and got a little bit emotional about the struggle she's having. And the male advisor said, "I've never had any of my male engineering PhD students cry in my office before. I don't know what to do with you." And she felt like she didn't belong. And she felt like there was something wrong with her. And this is 2021, I think it happened last year. And she was made to feel like Diane was saying, where are my peers? And I encouraged her to reach out through the internet, and we have virtual reality now too. I said, it's not just the people in your program. If there are nobody in your program that can connect to you and make you feel like you have a place in that program, there are a lot of us in that you can reach out to, support groups for minority women in engineering programs that are facing the same things that you're facing. Maybe a dissertation advisor that isn't very sensitive to your needs, or makes you feel like you don't belong. And so I just wanted to add, like, through support programs through the internet, but like Diane is saying, through virtual reality, you can meet regularly with people from all over the world and have that sense of presence and have that sense of belonging, and speak to people who are going through the same thing you're going through. I remember when I landed on my college campus freshman year, and looking around and seeing other people that looked like me, that were doing the same things I was doing. I felt like I belonged, and that sense of community can really come through in virtual reality. And so I think it'll be a huge support network to the young girls in Diane's program, and anybody looking to find like-minded individuals that can support them through tough times when they feel like, is it my place to be here? Yes, your place is always where you are. It is, you always belong. It doesn't matter where you are, you always belong. And so I agree with everything Diane said, and I think virtual reality will really be the support system that a lot of people will begin using more and more in the future.
Well,
this is here.
I'm sorry, Tom. I was just going to say, some of the conversations I have with young girls, especially that have gone through we've all gone through, really last couple of years have been really tough, and they've had to spend a lot of time online, where they're feeling very isolated and not a lot of interaction with their friends, other than maybe through, social media. And so I tell them how different this is in virtual reality. Is we've got the 3-letter word that is so important in today's environment, and that is fun. F-U-N. It is fun. And when tell them that they can create their own avatar, they can create their own dress and style, and that you can show up and be there and have a lot of fun and meet other people at the same time. Through these skills that they're learning, they can also be part of creating some innovation and ideation that can help solve the world's problems. And that's what I noticed is this group from 2003 to 2021 is called Gen Z, but it's also called Homelanders. And that group is so different from some of the other groups that came up behind, with the generation, with the millennials, which is Generation Y and Generation IY. And I think that's an important part of our training and discussion, is we need to make sure that we know how to communicate with these girls or these students, learners, in a way that they can relate. And so this Gen Z or Homelanders group, they are a different cloth than their earlier sisters and older sisters and brothers. And they really care, even more so, about the environment. They're more concerned about having financial security and, of course, making a difference They tend to be more not involved in sports as much. And so obesity seems to be a thing that's happening now. So again, it's trying to find that balance and helping girls learn through sports that you can fail, get back up again and try it again. Because sometimes girls are reluctant to go into entrepreneurship because they think they may not know how to do it. They may fail, but failure is good because that's when we learn. So I'm really excited about this population. I mean, I'm excited about what I'm seeing from these young girls.
And
You know,
I just want to say, I'm
idea of-
Gen X.
Go ahead.
I'm Gen X, and I'm very comfortable failing. Even though I'm Gen X, very,
Well,
very happy to fail anytime.
I'm a baby boomer and I failed many times.
How many have out there failed? And one or more times? Yeah. Oh gosh. Well, you know, my students, I just finished with 49 students in my technology-based entrepreneurship course, University of Washington. One of the big deals we talk about is the importance of failure. Because you learn often, you learn way more from your failures than your success. And that it's a teacher. So there really is no such thing as failure except the failure to try.
That's right.
So let's go back to this entrepreneurship thing. You know, we talk about what's going on with glass ceiling, the corporate structure, what's happening in terms of the leadership in these corporations. And certainly you've pointed out that entrepreneurship is a portal for young women in general, get into this because they pretty much, if they're making 80% of the purchases, 80% plus, no, wow, this is a place to be. And indeed, one of the things that we find out is entrepreneurs, I think you gave me this statistic, Diane, that entrepreneurs in general, 4 times more wealthy
That's right.
than workers, corporate workers, office
That's
workers.
right.
Isn't that amazing? 4 times more. And so the entrepreneurship is certainly an avenue that is open and sort of that's where women can be their own person and can lead the charge. Now, Lena has made this point about VR, the importance of VR now, and we're even going more toward this concept of the metaverse. The metaverse is combines more things into internet that can empower people, and that's why one of the things I want us to get back to is Girls STEAM Institute, the A in STEAM. In that we talk about STEM a lot, tech side, but what about the A? I believe that in the future, let's think about it. The virtual reality is really composed of 2 main things. One is the medium, the other is the message. Now, the medium is just the way that we transfer the messages in. And it just television, it becomes a commodity. Most important thing is now message. Message in terms of building worlds, artistic, storytelling, poetry. That's all these things that have had sort of back burner STEM world, right? Now can come to the forefront. Certainly, women embrace that with on steroids. Oh, you want to comment on that, 2 of you?
I'd love to, but naturally, I want to hear from my fellow entrepreneur and leader in VR, Angelina. But I find that when we started the idea, this whole concept of the Girls STEAM Institute, we thought it was important to include the A for arts, but not only arts, but athletics. Because my sister and I, we grew up with athletics. And athletics is a great way to learn about experimenting, trying something new, but also failing, but knowing you could get back up again and try again. There was nothing against you. It's, like you say, Tom, it's a failure not to try something. If you think you want to do it and you don't try it, then that's a failure. It's a missed opportunity. So the STEAM we're using also as a way to approach young girls who have, according to some of the computer science teachers I've talked to in the state of Oregon, they say that they're disappointed that it's not enough girls signing up for elective STEAM classes or STEM classes. So what we're trying to do then is actually taking kind of a back-end approach. We're adding the A for arts, and we're talking to girls who tend to opt out because they don't think that they are good in science or math. So when they think of STEM, they think it's engineering, architect, not architecture, but STEM is more of an engineering and technical field. And they may get feedback from their family saying, oh, well, I didn't do well in math. And so, and the girl or daughter says, oh, well, maybe her family just doesn't do math. I mean, so they get this feedback unknowingly and unwittingly from parents and people who care about them. And so they choose not to, elect to be a part of this. But when they do, just out of curiosity, they come and get engaged, and they're with other like-minded girls, and they're realizing that in this team building exercise that they, even though they're very shy by nature, they are pulled into looking at the end game, which is creating a goal to create a business that has a business solution. They start using their voice, and they're realizing, wow, just like you said, Angelina, people liked what I had to say. And so one of the outcomes of this experience with them is they feel more confident, and they realize that if they want something in life, they've got to ask for it and be assertive about it. Because if you're quiet, people don't really know all your talents and what you're able to do. So the A is so critical. In fact, one of the girls that competed, whose father worked at Microsoft, she went to a STEM school in the state of Washington. And she was so excited to come to our event because we had the A. And so her team won first prize, a cash prize of $1,000 a girl. So the team won $5,000 cash award, 2016. She took that $1,000 and contributed to the STEM school that she went to school at, and said, please, I want you to use this $1,000 towards curriculum that you can develop for other students here at the STEM school, because we need to see arts involved in this school. And for a 17-year-old girl to take that initiative, it was just totally amazing. It made the papers in Seattle too, Tom. But I mean, that's why we haven't scratched the surface of what is coming up with these young girls. We just need to create the venue and the forum for them to shine and have that encouragement.
And I am not very artistic at all, but I have had the pleasure of being around people who are amazing. I want to give a shout out to Robin White in the audience. I went to the Augmented World Expo, and her panel on the arts in VR was amazing. It was one of the best ones there. I just left really feeling like, the message that comes through our medium and how it can really refocus us on humanity. The arts is a great way to help us explore ourselves, how we're represented, how other people are represented, what intentionality there is, how it feeds us back history. I can't even do it justice. That panel, everybody go watch the arts panel from AWE. They did it so much better. And I think that by bringing in arts into VR and having us have the opportunity to go back to that, what we used to learn in college. Remember, what we used to learn was poetry and painting, and because it rounded out the mathematics and the verb usage and the cutting open of frogs. It brought everything back to a human feel. And work that's being done now in the arts and VR is just amazing. And so anybody that's interested in knowing more, grab Robin before she leaves today. But if you have a chance to listen to talks and see the amazing things that are going on in VR around arts and creativity. I mean, that's really where and I won't be in those talks because, like I said, I'm not very creative, but I like to encourage people to build the world that they want to live in, because we're not escaping from the physical world, but we're definitely getting to have fun, like Diane said, and we're getting to play, and we're getting to express ourselves in ways that sometimes aren't possible in the physical world, and it will open up new avenues for solutions in the physical world when we practice here in the virtual world. And so, yes, I think arts is a, like you said, the message comes through the arts in the ways that if we can create anything, what do we choose to create, and how does that reflect who we are and what we want to see? And I think virtual reality is where you do that, right? You come here and you say, this is the world I want to live in. I'm going to create it here because I can, with unlimited resources. And how will it reflect my character and who I am? And so, so yes, arts are important. I'm going to pass it back to you. I kind of made that explanation a little bit longer so you could catapult back in here.
Sorry about that, guys.
So,
No, I have to start paying my bills. Well,
well, okay, so I'm going to say this thing I always say, Tom. It is not a valid virtual reality event if there's not a technical difficulty. Those are just the rules, Tom. I think you invented those rules, and so they must be. So now it's a valid event because we had a technical difficulty.
Well, let's sort of take a little break here, and are there any questions that you'd like to ask the audience? Let's sort of with you, Diane. Do you have anything you'd like to throw out there and see what they might
Yes, I would love some feedback from our audience about what are some of the skills that you think we should be working on to help young girls become successful. What are some of those skills you think we should be helping girls develop?
Is who's moderating? Are we moderating? Should I, or is?
I'm sorry, I had myself muted on my headset. My apologies. Please hit the raise hand button to the right of your menu, and that will let me know that you have an answer that you would like to give to let Diane know. Let me go ahead and pull this up. So the first person is Steph. Go ahead, Steph, and accept your megaphone.
I've accepted. My thought is that each girl is an individual that has to kind of devise their own way of getting to where they're going to go, so that what they need is an experience that kind of fits them as opposed to making them fit it. I don't know how one would go about that, but that's just kind of my feeling on it.
That's good. I agree with you. So
Great,
we'd be basically pulling rather than pushing the experience. Be looking at what they want to have as an experience rather than telling them what they need to experience. Is that correct?
That's an interesting
you should still have
point, though. Interesting
Go ahead,
point
Tom.
that about pull side. But we often think that we know the answer. In fact, really, in this day, especially with the new technology we have of connectivity, the emergence is really going to be exciting, because we're going to find so many new things that grow in this garden that we've never seen before, and especially with the chapters for our young people, especially our young women, can be a whole new way of doing things. Just comment that we need to provide a fertile ground for those individual things to emerge. And that's the problem with schools, isn't it? Schools tend to put you in categories, and we'll even take the disciplines of the world and we put them in these silos, and you have to dive down into those silos. We very rarely look across this. So it's another new opportunity with looking through the eyes of these young people, young women, what really they want to do. It's important to them. it's almost like, I mean, and again, my wife, I'm a father of daughters and have 3 granddaughters, and this comes up a lot that it's almost like women have to choose to be mothers to have a career. I mean, and without mothers, we're going to be in deep yoga, in the future. So, so why do you have to make a choice? Why isn't there a way? And especially with entrepreneurship, that offers some of these opportunities. But maybe we should see if there's anyone else has.
There is. I have a couple more.
Real
Okay.
fast, Tom. Tom, currently on Twitter, there was this big debate because this CEO had written that he had finished his PhD and had 6 children and done all these things, and here were his secrets to success. And I'm the mother of 7, and I just read it and I said, I'm not impressed with this man. And sure enough, later on, a lot of people kind of piled on him and said, well, you had a wife helping you a lot, and you didn't mention that in your little list of things that you were doing. And so I was often told that I had to pick between motherhood or my career, and those don't have to be choices, but the system has to bend a little bit more for us and accept us as equal partners. It's good to have a place where you can pump milk or breastfeed where you work, and sometimes being an entrepreneur helps you do those things a little bit easier, I think. But there's more questions. I just wanted to agree with what you were saying, Tom.
So, great. Oh, so we're going to move on. Lisa, go ahead and accept your microphone or megaphone.
Hi. I was just going to say that I think that, from the time we're very young and you go through the public school system, you're taught to conform to every situation that you're in, not to, talk back, so to speak, to whoever's in power in that particular group or whatever. But I think one thing that most people aren't taught, and one thing that girls need to be taught in particular, is how to recognize when there is a change that you feel you have a good solution for that could be made in a situation or an organization, how to go about proposing changes and getting support from others for the solutions that you may be able to think of, and how to go about doing that in a way that doesn't, create pushback from people, how to go about proposing change just in general.
Excellent. Great comment. I wholeheartedly agree.
Thanks for that, Lisa. Go ahead.
Excuse me. I have a comment I make about that. Situation you raised is really important, and I really feel that I see that among our young girls that are part of our program. And some of the coaching I've done with young people in the past is I tell them, if you see a problem, don't just come and tell me you've got a problem. I want you to spend some time thinking about it. And so that when you approach me, you tell me, Miss Diane, this is the problem, but this is what I recommend as a solution. So that brings in the critical thinking aspect, which is oftentimes missing. And yet, by taking that approach, the student is heard and respected, and yet it gives that student a chance to really think about it. And I really want to say, for all the research I've been doing, that's having so many distractions in our lives, especially you as young people. It's very hard to have time for yourself to even think about what's really important to you. And I remember reading a book, an autobiography by Bill Gates, and he said one of the things that he treasured the most is time to be alone, so he had time to think. So I really recommend that that's a way that we can help bridge this gap of inequality, is we need to spend more time really thinking about it. And even Einstein said, that we have to develop new tools to solve today's problems, and they can't be the same tools that were used to cause the problem in the first place. So that means we all need to spend time thinking about Why is this important? What can I do about it? Where are some of the gaps maybe I could fill? What kind of business can I start to solve that solution? So there's a lot of possibilities. We just need to have more young women know the world is an oyster if they just learn how to ask for what they want and surround themselves with the association of people that will help them do it.
I love that. Thank you so much, Diane, for that. Shine, go ahead and accept your megaphone.
Thank you. It was to add actually to some of the existing comments. I think a sense of enabling girls to have a sense of authenticity, to recognise themselves, whoever that is. I think it's quite common. Certainly was when I was growing up. Sense of conformity that Lisa was mentioning, and the fitting in, and I think recognising that we are all different, and out of that difference and that uniqueness is often the answer, the answer to the problem, the creativity, the business possibility, and so on. I think that would be valuable if that can be encouraged early on.
I agree.
Thank you, Shine. Any comments or anything before we move on to our next guest? Okay, so George 3D, go ahead and accept your megaphone.
Yeah, thank you. What Lisa and Steph also said about conformity, obedience. I think the factory model school system is devastating, and here it's especially bad because it's so far behind the times here in Fiji. They're teaching things that were maybe relevant 50 years ago. And by the time the students come out, most of them are pretty much shut down. They don't know what they're passionate about, just lost. The creativity, the passion is gone. And all they, in some cases, need is a chance. Like over there in the blue and the gray hat is a young Fijian lady. About 2.5, 3 months ago, she knew nothing about this and her future looked really bleak. And now she's practicing with a 3D printer, printing jewelry models for lost wax casting. She's learning about Blender and design SketchUp. A completely new future has opened up. And last week, she and her cousin registered a company to make custom-made gold jewelry. As far as I know, they'll be the only ones here doing that. So
wow, that's wonderful.
all they need is just a door to be opened, and the factory model school system basically slams doors shut. Like, sit down, shut up, and do this. Like when she needs to calculate the resistor value for a LED, she doesn't have to calculate Ohm's law equation algebra. She just looks up the Ohm's law, the calculator for the LED resistor in her phone. And here, phones are banned in schools instead of a mandatory part of the curriculum. They don't know about edX.org. They don't know about the MOOCs. All they need to be is told. So I think just presenting them with opportunities and letting them, as Dr. Dayton said in a meeting some time ago, about creating an environment, providing resources and supporting them in where they want to go. So that, I may have paraphrased, but I still remember when you said that, and that's been with me the whole time.
And George, there's a lot. School systems in the United States, not just in Fiji, are the same way. And people get very scared when I say this, but not in our generation, not in our children's generation, but in our grandchildren's generation, they may not go to a schoolhouse, school building. There might not be a necessity for that anymore. And people go, there will always be public schools. And I have to remind them there weren't always public schools. It's a relatively new thing that we have public school, and more of our education is happening online. And so we're able to explore things that interest us. And we're not, like you said, being told to sit down and shut up. One of the things that I talk about is that there has to be a paradigmatic change within education. And I tell them about how Ptolemy used to think that everything revolved around the earth. And then later on, Copernicus told us, no, everything actually revolves around the sun. Not everything, but everything in our galaxy does. And I tell teachers that the thing they have to learn, the paradigmatic shift, is that everything does not revolve around them. In fact, less and less is revolving around the teacher. The learner-centered education is what's taking over because they can just use their phone, which are oftentimes not allowed in classrooms. They're in our hands and our partners' hands and our parents' hands and our children's hands every other moment of the day. And so we need to rethink education and let people go towards what they're excited about. Tom talks a lot about this too. We need to let them have their wonder, right? We need to let them have their enthusiasm about learning. And so I think your comment is very well taken. A lot of people are suffering from the same follies of that public education has thrust upon us. So those are my 2 cents about. I could talk for 3 days about public education, but I'll stop now.
No, that was great though. We do have one more. Oh, maybe 2 more. Someone else just popped on the list. So Robin Witt, go ahead and accept your megaphone. Maybe. Is that not working out? There we go.
Hi, can you hear me?
Sure can.
Oh, good. My headset is about to lose power, and so are my
Yes,
controls.
mine
So
too.
I'm like dead here in a moment. Many things. First of all, Angelina, thank you for the big shout out. I really appreciate that. Secondly, I wanted to say when you first talked about how women give up early because they don't feel like they have what it takes. But I have also read that in many instances, they're held, not only do they hold themselves to a higher standard, but their teachers, their bosses, whatever managers hold women to a much higher standard.
True.
So that is,
Yes.
that's kind of a problem. To talk about a little bit about what women or young girls need, I think children, girls, kids, little kids, I think it comes down to need self-confidence, to believe in themselves and ways to relate what they have to say.
I say that most of my success comes from an inflated sense of self-worth. And so it has not failed me. And I try to instill upon my daughters, I have 6 daughters, to be extremely confident, which makes it very difficult to live in a household with 6 daughters who also have inflated senses of self-worth. But I think that you're right, Robin. That's how we combat that idea that other people thrust upon us that somehow we've got to be a little bit better. Oh, I think her headset died.
Oh,
but she warned
I'm
us.
concerned about that
She
with me
disappeared.
too.
Okay, well, we do have one more. Turbo, go ahead and accept your megaphone.
I didn't have a question, but I really enjoy the topic that's being discussed here. I have 3 daughters, and one of the things that I encouraged them to do in school was to pursue STEM, and some of them did to some degree or another. They're all very technologically literate, and they use quite a bit of technology in their world. And so now that I am learning about VR, I'm starting to introduce that to them because they're looking at now capacity to bring it into their work environment.
Fantastic.
That's great.
That's fantastic.
That's fantastic.
We did have someone else just pop up, and then we'll make that our last comment, and then we'll move on. So Grumpy Old, and it just says Spooky AC47 because it's kind of broken off. So go ahead and accept your megaphone. Is that Grumpy Old Don?
Yeah. I was fortunate to work for a company that I think was it was a defense contractor, Raytheon, and I was surrounded by talented women. There was a lot of engineers, managers, had a director, and I worked with these ladies every day. And they had a program there with the different organizations where they encouraged and worked with the community to get more people into technical fields, because it was geared towards our work, of course. But it just, yeah, I was kind of pleased to see that they were doing that, and just really directing people in the right direction, and encouraging people. And I think I was pretty fortunate to meet a lot of young ladies that had gotten into the engineering field.
There are some companies I think that are doing a fabulous job of supporting diversity in all forms and really uh, getting it right. And so I think Tom had said, let's always be abundant in our thinking. And I thank you for sharing that, because there are people who get it and who support women and those of us that were lucky enough to be in organizations that supported us throughout the way. I mean, we really benefited from other people's foresight. I think it's important to point that out.
As we're getting toward the hour, wondering, Diane, if you could tell us a little more about the business challenge that's coming up in July.
Oh, thank you, Tom. This is a tremendous opportunity for young girls 13 to 18 to join us for this free event. The application link is on the screen, and the girls can apply by June 24th. We're considering extending the application time to July 2nd, but girls will have a chance to be part of a team of no more than 5 girls to come together and within a 2-day period develop a business solution that will help solve climate change using technology. So the girls that are applying, they're very excited about it because they want to make a difference. If you know young girls, granddaughters, nieces that are interested in wanting to make a difference and having a fun summer activity, please encourage them to apply online, and we will have mentors and we will have tools that they'll learn on how to become an entrepreneur. And maybe this will spur them to think more seriously about entrepreneurship beyond this event. Thank you very much, Tom. I also want to thank you. Tom is on our board, and we are so grateful for his service and for his leadership and innovation. And Angelina is so happy that you have had a chance to meet you through Tom, which is another lesson young people can learn, is the power of networks. And that's how things are done, is through partnership and network. So I want to thank everyone here today for attending and participating. And thank you, Tom and Angelina, for giving me the opportunity to be here and talk about this really important topic, inequality. But there are some answers. And we just need to look at creating new sources and new tools to change what's happening. Government and other institutions have created a lot of this inequality. We can go to the ballot box. We can choose to elect people that actually are more forward thinking and thinking about technology and the other aspects of our society that we need to put more focus on, particularly education. So thank you very much. And I hope we see more girls applying for this event. It's a transformational experience for girls.
Let me add to that. Thank you for that, Diane. Certainly, for me to be on the board of the Girls Teen Institute, and when I first found out, actually through one of my former students on the board, said, "Hey, what can I do to get involved?" Because I think I've seen this happen, and as I see it in the classroom, the girls that are in engineering, along the guys, and so
not
the
for me.
metaverse. All right, something.
My apologies, I forgot to mute.
Okay, so one of the things that we also want to mention, important right now that's going on, of course, is the climate change projects that are underway in this challenge. The Virtual World Society is teamed with the United Nations with what is an organization called Exponential Destiny to work on all of the sustainable development goals, and as teams of people, as well as when we say young people, 19 younger, and then also 19 older, teams to work together. A competition. This is a competition that will go about a year. And Daniel, would you like to? Here's Daniel, who's the Executive Director of the Virtual World Society. Would you like to say something about that? Would you like to come up?
Hi, thank you, Tom, and thank you, Diane and Angelina, for the amazing conversation. I feel that the girls are in good hands with leaders like you. Thank you. Yeah, and this is another example of this next generation doing some fantastic work. The nonprofit Exponential Destiny has launched a competition, a global competition for creators and for people who want to learn. So it's called Metaverse for SDGs, Metaverse for Sustainable Development Goals. And anybody who wants to learn, whether you can code or not, whether you have a headset or not, if you want to get inspired and active in this space, this competition is for you. You can find all of the details on the sdgmetaverseprize.org website, and also there's a link on the virtualworldsociety.org website. It's fantastic. Teams will register to choose one of the Sustainable Development Goals and have many months to learn to build an immersive, inspiring environment or experience in VR on one of the freely available platforms to educate, inform, and build empathy for their sustainable development goal. And then there are real cash prizes. So you can take part in a community, you can learn new economy skills, and you have a chance of winning some money for yourself and for your organization. If you're at all interested, please, please, please check out our website or the Exponential Destiny website. There should be news on social media as well. Even if you're just interested, check it out, help us share and spread the news, and be part of something amazing to develop awareness around these important goals and this important mission, sponsored or supported by the United Nations and the ITU. Thank you. And have we
Thank
lost
you,
Tom again?
Daniel.
Thank you,
So we
Daniel.
did. So Laurel, I believe, also has a quick announcement. So Laurel, if you would please take stage, that would be great.
Thank you, Nat. Thanks, Daniel. Daniel and I are also the co-founders of Educators in VR, and we help produce this event. And I wanted to just give you a quick reminder or notification that this year, Educators in VR, instead of doing one big whopping annual conference, we are doing one conference a month dedicated to our Educators in VR teams, our XR industry verticals. And so we are, our next event, our mini conference is tomorrow for a group that's rarely heard of. It's our EdVR Sinners, the Society of Intellectual Novices. It's our think tank group where we're having really in-depth conversations and discussions on the past, present, and future of XR immersive education. And we've got a full day of open discussions, and you're invited to be a part of our think tank tomorrow here on AltSpace VR. So check it out. Thanks.
Thank you. That's wonderful.
Yes. So did you have any last comments or anything that you ladies would like to make before we dismiss? Sorry, I'm just going to pop up here really quick to kind of peek at everybody. So I want to tell you on behalf of the Virtual World Society, thank you all for joining us at our Fireside Chat. Today, we do have another community event that is coming up in 2 weeks. Let me pull that date up for you guys here. Oh, wow. Sorry.
While Nataline is doing that, now's a great time to take some pictures and maybe a selfie. Shall we get a picture with everybody?
What do you mean? No, but I
Yes,
don't know
but
my hair. No, I'm just kidding.
I know that Diane's headset died, and mine's getting
Okay.
ready to die. So if we do a picture, we got to do it
Okay.
really fast.
Get a
Shall we
picture
do
of
it
you at
fast?
least. I did get one of the others earlier. Yeah. Taking picture now. Looking good.
I love what you're posting. That's just amazing. Okay, so
Great picture. Thank you.
I have like 1% left. Thank you all for coming, and please support Diane's business challenge, COSI Educators in VR, and thank you all for coming today. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Angelina. Thank you. Thank you.
So, all right.